Welcome to the Big Biz Show.
Taking care of business.
You want fast-talking, hard-hitting discussions on business and finance? Maybe with a barroom slant and some really salty peanuts? We're not counting calories. We're counting cash. Before we get to the man with the financial plan, meet the money team. Costa, Mary, and Greg. Now Captain Finance himself, Sully.
And a big old howdy to you, live from the Loft 100 studios here in sunny Southern California. Hope everyone's having a great day. Welcome to the Big Biz Show. I'm Costa. It's Marybird Godwin. Our executive producer is Greg Todorov. Of course, right there behind the bar, Captain Finance.
Can I bring you
Sully? Yes, you
to
can.
the sunny, warm land
Yes.
of New Jersey?
Oh, yes.
Have you guys been to New Jersey? New Jersey?
I have been.
You've had to see a game at Rutgers. And you're like, you have.
Went to school in New Jersey.
You went to school? Where'd you
Montclair State.
No kidding.
Go Indy. Well, we were the Indians, but now they're the Red Hawks.
Oh, really? Yeah. Is that less offensive?
I know, that's it.
Red Hawk Indian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only 7-year college in the nation, right?
Thank
Mike?
God.
I never understood why you were honoring something like a Redskin. Like Washington Redskins was the owner's wife was an Indian, the original owner for Washington
Sure.
Redskins. His wife was honoring
Sure.
his wife.
I know.
How is that offensive?
A lot of directions.
I don't know. It kind of got caught up in that we've got to change this or people want that changed.
The one where I got on this bandwagon here was when I was doing talk radio, my first year in talk radio, when we were doing a live remote from San Diego State, and I was a San Diego State Aztec, and the Native American Student Alliance,
Yeah.
which would be Native American,
Right.
was complaining about the
Yeah.
Aztecs,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
were Central America.
Yeah.
And the college kids didn't really put two and two together why it wasn't offensive to them.
It's just, and I don't know if there's many Aztecs right now who are out protesting the Aztec name.
Yeah.
I don't think they've been around for like 1,000 years.
Well, I put the in Aztec.
Right.
Look who's here from New York at the Small Cap Conference. It is Howie and Devon. Look at you guys.
Wow.
Look at you.
What's going on, guys?
Oh, ahoy, po'boy.
Atlantic City.
It's just jamming back there.
I know.
Devon looks like
Is
a
there
priest.
anybody even in there?
I am slightly a priest in this case. Also, Sully, when it comes to Redskins, after a few whiskeys, I get Redskin, and I'm not offended at all. So I'm on your side on that one.
Sounds like he's on speed, but you're crawling through a tunnel of hair. I'm just saying, right? Like his face is like emerging.
Right.
Howie, let's talk about what the environment was like there. You've been to a number of these things for us on the air. What happened?
Yeah, so this has been actually a really active conference. The main hall is right upstairs. We wanted to get the welcome Microcap sign for our little spot here, but we've got hundreds of people. There's $9.9 billion, in market cap here.
Wow.
So there's quite a lot of companies, and they have a lot to say, lots of presentations. The Motley Fool had a speaker yesterday, some fun comedy shows that we
Tom
endorsed,
Papa.
and Tom Papa, that's right. And it's been an excellent conference. Lots of deal making happening.
Did you
people like Steve Ritchie?
Is it investors and companies looking for capital? Is that what it is, or is it just about awareness? What's
There are service providers to the market cap and clientele. So there's lawyers and stock transfer agencies and promoters and things like that. They're definitely here. But there are a lot of actual capital formation people, if they're deal finders or syndicate people, or they're actually representing their own fund or their own money. We've seen all cases here today.
As you guys,
I actually got this whole thing completely wrong, too, by the way, guys. Sorry to interrupt, but I thought we were supposed to have tiny hats. That's why I brought these tiny hats. Microcap. Come on, guys. We got you a microcap.
You knew that was coming.
It's been like this.
You knew that was
like
on the way.
All week.
I'll be here all the weeks.
I love your comedic timing there, Father Doane. Thank you very much for that. You, as you guys wander the floor there and stuff, is it little groups huddled? Are there displays? Is it like a trade show, or is it just a lot of like, hey, talk to you later type of stuff?
We did a lot when it came to, for instance, the bio conference in San Diego earlier in the year.
Yeah.
And we saw that was much more, I have a booth, come to me, see me, check me out.
Well, go back to work, boys.
Gorgeous.
You guys have a great
This is a
time.
big, gorgeous ball.
Yeah, stay right there. We'll go back to New Jersey here in just a second.
Let's just let them go.
Oh, sweet.
Turn them loose.
Let's just
Love
turn
that.
Let's turn them loose. They're there
Flush.
for a whole nother day. We can talk to them tomorrow also.
All right, flush it and moving on. Nation, wherever you're listening. The Big Biz Show rolling on. Another beautiful day here in Southern California. Inside the Loft 100 studio, welcome, Tasha, Marybird Godwin, our executive producer is Greg Tatarov, and of course, Sully.
Yep. I hate to tell you, but it's the worst time of the year coming up because you're now starting to think about tax planning.
Wow, that was good.
Tax planning. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I love the new.
Little grunge music?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. They
Great,
decided
guys.
to play 3 more chords and get full payment. Nice job, boys. It does. So I'm just going to say this because I need to say this, and I think that you could have a bad surprise waiting if you don't update your W-4, because we had this sort of tumultuous year that upended traditional employment at the end of last year. No thanks to the administration, no thanks to an old COVID, no thanks to a crappy economy, no thanks to a million different things. But there's a lot of income tax surprises coming up for a lot of you. And one way you can reduce the odds of owing a big bill to Uncle Sam or paying out too much by giving them an interest-free loan to the government, which is what you do when you have too much taken out of your taxes. You really out of your wages. You realize when you get a refund every year,
Yep.
all you are doing is loaning money to the government interest-free.
Yep.
You do not want a refund every year. You do not want a refund. You want to say pay a little bit because have them take the float, not you. So more than a year ago, the IRS released a redesigned W-4 where you can figure out how much money they should withhold from your paycheck. You can figure it out for yourself. And most taxpayers have ignored it. 3 in 4 individuals receive refunds that average about $2,500 in this country. That's an interest-free loan to the government. So suddenly that refund doesn't sound too good anymore, does it? I mean, listen, if you're going to have it done, just put the money aside yourself. If you're depending on a refund to pay something at the end of the year, put the money aside yourself. Put it in an envelope. It's too late to affect your withholding for 2024, but it's not too late for 2025. So I would suggest, I see a look on your face. You don't like what you're hearing here.
It's a lot. So I'm just processing it. I mean, I can't do anything from last year, but so.
But now, I
don't know. I don't
home
normally.
a little more.
Yeah.
Now, and put it aside. If you use those, I know many people use that refund. $2,500 is not. That's no slouch.
Right.
That's a full meal card for a college kid. For a semester. I mean, that's a brand new engine for your car. That's sometimes for a kid's first car. If you meet Greg or
That's right.
Mike when we were driving the 1974 S-Bag, orange, which we all left on the side of the road somewhere in the last 40 years. So anyway, are you concerned about taxes this year?
No.
I had such a crappy year. I'm not concerned at all.
No.
It was one of those times where it was the worst year economically for small business since the Great Recession.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Less money was made. Now, since the election, there has been the equivalent of 6 months GDP from last year that is on the books for most businesses since November, which is crazy. So in 2 months, 3 months, you've picked up double that in business from the year before. So it's feeling better than that.
Yeah, taxes one the 2 inevitable things in life, right? Death and taxes. So
I thought you were going to say taxes and lunch.
Well, that okay. 3 things that are inevitable in life. No, but I don't worry about it. I really don't, because we're smart, as smart as we can with our money. We always file on time, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not.
Do you guys ever listen to the? We're so guilty because we were all afternoon drive and morning drive guys in radio.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Greg was the peddler.
He was selling it.
It was selling what we were. But there was a group of ads that always would come up about. I remember tax resolution services.
Yep. Yeah.
Which no longer is in business, I don't believe. But if you were behind 7 years on your taxes,
you hear a lot of those, right?
We had a guest on the air here, and we produced a show called Taxman, and it was really interesting how he could go in. And what we did is we reenacted some of these cases because you couldn't do an active case, but we reenacted his stuff, and he would go back, and people would owe like $250,000, and he'd get it down to like $250. No, I'm not kidding. They had 0 assets. They were a piece of pie is better than another pie. They were 12 years old, They hadn't filed their taxes in a dozen years.
So is that the government's thought? Hey, listen, as long as we get something.
A piece of the pies. Well, you heard Howie talk about the Laffer curve the other day, right?
Yes.
Art Laffer, the economic advisor to the Reagan administration. Basically, taxes were, when taxes get too high, people just don't pay them. It's just like, Laffer basically said that which is collectible will be collected.
Right. Yeah.
In other words, if you can't collect it, this is the same reason why attorneys don't go after people that don't have any money. If there's, what are you going to sue? A rock?
Right.
If you're judgment proof, I don't care if the guy cuts your arm off.
Is it like can't get blood out of a turnip type thing?
Yeah.
Sorry, people are just, if enough people just go, sorry, what are you going to do, arrest everybody?
Right.
Are there any tag-alongs with that, though, once you settle? For instance, now you can't vote for 3 years. You know what I mean?
No.
Is there anything like that, or is it just a
reciprocal punishment?
Right.
There should be.
I don't know what you would
Really
call
should
that,
be.
but is there something that, okay, you weren't able to pay your taxes, you weren't able to do
Is
your
it
part?
sad that as soon as he said tag along, I went Girl Scout cookie?
It's time for that, by the way.
Which ones are the, by the way?
Time.
By the way, can I just say this?
in the freezer.
Can I just say this, folks? You can make the donation without actually taking the box of cookies. That's true. You're allowed to cut the check and not take the box.
The cookies are
Those
the fun
damn
part.
Girl Scouts.
Do you indulge in a Girl Scout cookie or two?
I've been known to.
Perhaps.
Oh, my Girl
I know the hardest thing is, though.
Girl Scout.
Well, here's the
Latin
deal.
for glass of
Let's all be
tequila.
honest. Let's all be honest. It's a phenomenal business model because who can say no to the cute little girl who is out there trying to learn her way,
Right.
Exactly.
talk to people,
Yep.
right? I will reward that every day. Even if I throw the
remember-
cookies away, at least she was out there doing her thing,
Yeah.
being outgoing, learning how to be a
agree.
member of this
So
society.
I remember
right?
selling magazine subscriptions for Little League.
Yep.
Okay, it's like you'd walk around and you'd get a Home and Garden magazine or Sports Illustrated magazine.
Of course.
And I remember there was a Little League president in the University City Little League that was a sales guy. And he sat us, all the boys, down and said, I don't want you walking up to the door and saying, you don't want to get any subscriptions, do you? He taught us how to give what's called the alternative choice. Would you like Sports Illustrated or Auto Magazine?
Yes.
That's it.
He would say, do you have to ask your wife to do this? I mean, look, the guy taught us how to master the art of selling. And Greg, you know, because you were in
that's
sales.
impressive.
The alternative, how much is it?
How old were you?
How much can you pay?
Explains a lot.
It was like 12 years old. And I remember reading the book, How to Master the Art of Selling Anything by Tom Hopkins. And actually, I got to interview Tom Hopkins while he was still alive with Rusty Nails about 15 years ago.
Oh my God.
And he was a hero. It'd be like you interviewing Johnny Unitas.
Sure.
Or you interviewing, what's our boy's name with the sideburns for the Reds?
George Foster.
George Foster.
Are you kidding me?
Okay. It'd be like you interviewing
Lin-Manuel
George,
Miranda.
no, the person who wrote
He didn't play baseball.
George Takei.
No, it'd be like you interviewing Mamma Mia author, the ABBA people, or whatever musical theater.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Who's that?
Hamilton.
Oh, Hamilton.
Who's Lin-Manuel?
I thought we were talking about baseball.
Me too.
But he switched it to musical theater for my benefit.
No, I switched it to ABBA. Yeah. And you just switched it to musical theater.
Torn
But
Fork is
ABBA
Garden.
they made
ABBA
a
was a
musical.
band.
I understand that, but they made a
ABBA's
musical.
still a band.
It is.
ABBA's never been in a musical.
Two girls, two guys.
Out of Mamma Mia.
Can we get back to baseball?
How much?
There's no crying in baseball.
Well, and who can just eat one Girl Scout cookie? I'm going to go to the refrigerator. I'm going to just grab one Samoa or tag along.
Okay, hold on a second.
And then I'm going to. That's
Okay,
it.
catch me up here. What's a tag along?
I think the tag along.
Is that the peanut butter one?
No.
Oh, hold on. Oh, here comes the band. What's a tag along, Trace?
Okay, tag. I've just been told by our crack staff behind the scenes that the tag along is the peanut butter patty one.
And what's the other one?
Samoa is the kind of caramely chocolate striped with coconut on it.
You can't talk dirty on TV.
No. Samoa, right?
And you have to do them two at a time.
Of course. Wow. They're like chips.
That's the rule.
That's the rule?
Hey, Chris Castillo, can you look up how much money in Girl Scout cookies is sold every year and put it up on the screen
Oh, it's
for us
crazy.
what we're talking
It's a huge number.
I mean, and this is an international thing, right?
Huge number.
Talk about a scam. I want them to freaking start selling stuff
it
for us.
international?
Like Girl Scout advertising sales. It's that time of year.
You know what else? This is one of those. This is one of those that you want to know how much the CEO is making.
Yeah.
Let's find
Right?
out.
2 billion boxes.
Right. Exactly.
2 billion boxes. $2 billion, $2 billion boxes.
Well, I think they're more than $5.
2 million boxes, $5 a piece is 10 million.
Wow.
Right? No. Yeah.
I think there's
It's got to be more than that.
And what is it? It goes to the uniforms and it goes to all the activities.
It goes to the
kind of
CEO.
stuff. It goes to a lot of it goes to the CEO. I guarantee you.
Trace, will you take us out with a Girl Scout cookie wrap, please? Take it out. Let's go.
no pressure.
Thin mints in the freezer.
Big Biz Show starting up. See you in a minute.
Girl Scout cookie wrap? Okay. All right. It doesn't get no realer. The girl in the corner is my dealer. I get those cookies. $5 and it shook me. It only took me a second. Went out my wallet, I got wrecked in it. Got the tag-alongs and the Samoas. This is how it goes, yeah.
See you in a minute.
In over 175 countries, all the ships at sea on the American Forces Network. It is the Big Biz Show. As always, thank you to the brave men and women of our United States Armed Forces. Here inside Loft 100 Studios, Costa with you, Mary Godwin, executive producer is Greg Todorov, of course, Sully.
Good to have you along today. You guys depressed or something? Is there a flannel sale? Is there a flannel sale on somewhere? Chilly outside. We got a couple drops of rain. Suddenly, Kurt Cobain's here with a shotgun. Too soon?
Pull the curtain.
Wedding. I said shotgun wedding. What?
Wow.
2 months? Too soon?
Never too soon.
One of the greatest musicians of our time came from that band. That's Dave Grohl with the Foo Fighters. Not going to see him for a while. Probably at a PTA meeting or so.
Uh-oh. Oh. Wow. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Love that guy. Hey, you were talking to me about Elon Musk using the blockchain for DOGE. What's interesting, there was Dogecoin, and now there's Department of Government Efficiency.
Right?
I wonder if there was a thing there.
I wonder.
Here to talk about that, I'll let you ask him directly. Is Alon?
All right.
Alon Goren.
God, I love Alon.
Alon Goren, of course, founding partner of Draper Goren Blockchain. I've got a deal for you, by the way. I want you to look at. It's in the music business, and these guys are all about what you guys do, Alon. So I'm going to start blowing up your phone with a new deal. And
I love it. I'm in.
Hey, remember you told us about Dogecoin 3 years ago?
To the moon.
And now there's a thing called Doge with Elon Musk using the blockchain. Was this all, or is it just total coincidence?
1,000,000%. There's no coincidences in that.
Okay.
The one thing, you can say a million things about Elon Musk. You can love him, you can hate him, but the dude is a genius when it comes to that meme marketing. And we've now seen evidence of him planning these things like 7, 8, 9 years in advance, right? Like, I don't know if you remember this, but when the Model Y Tesla came out, all of a sudden, Tesla started selling T-shirts that said S because they're the Model S, 3 from the Model 3. X for the Model X and Y, and when you saw it next to each other, it spelled sexy, right? That didn't happen for from the day they put the Model S to the Model Y was, 10 years or something like that.
I have a question.
They plan these in advance.
Alon, you are one of the smartest guys I know, and I've known you for a dozen years almost now, and I've seen you go from crowdfunding to cryptocurrency to digital currency to blockchain to venture capital. Is he on the ilk of a Steve Jobs in terms of his genius, or is he just a cagey dude that just like the guy selling some tonic off the back of a wagon in 1883 that people are buying?
I mean, I don't think you can deny that the companies that he's involved with, so, he wasn't the founder of Tesla, he wasn't the founder of PayPal, but he was their CEOs and took them to levels that nobody else did. So the guy is an incredible marketer, salesperson, and obviously sees things way ahead of time that the rest of us don't. So, for those reasons, you have to consider him a genius. And then obviously there's all sorts of other reasons why you could have feelings about him. But from a business perspective, you can't deny it. He knows his stuff and he's great at doing what he does. Yeah.
Alon Goren, the founding partner of Draper Goren Blockchain with us. Always love his visits. So the website to go to is dgb.vc.
Hey, Alon, Welcome to the program again. Good to see you. And can you talk to me? Sully just mentioned it, but I was reading that Elon Musk is talking about introducing and bringing blockchain to the DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, and using it to monitor federal spending. Have you heard of this? And what do you think about that?
Why is that? Is that just because it's transparent?
I think that's what he's getting at, and maybe it's a bluff to make the bureaucrats feel a little scared. What happens when all of their spending does go under a microscope and the public gets access to that microscope? I think it would be incredible. We saw, we've talked about this in the past. We saw this in the early days of crypto and blockchain, where people talked about putting things on chain, putting the receipts on chain, and trying to do this kind of thing since 2017 or so. But it hasn't really happened in a big, meaningful way. But can you imagine if the public, who should be able to see these things, saw real-time disclosures and saw details of how their budgets, their taxes are being spent on or spent? It would be incredible. People would, I would assume, if it went full transparency overnight, people would riot. And I hope that doesn't happen, but I do hope that government does learn to spend properly.
Alon, a question I've wanted to ask you for a while. The Hawk-Tua girl, who was very, very famous. And then
every time I'm on, we bring this up.
Mike brings it up.
No.
Yes, exactly.
I only know it because of her coin. She disappeared. Is the government after her? Do they want her? Is she wanted for fleecing people money?
Here's the thing that's happened since then, right? So what she did, what her camp did, right? I don't truly believe she's this diabolical crypto genius.
I don't think she knew enough to be diabolical.
Okay.
Look, exactly. I think someone came to her and said, hey, we'll pay you a few $100,000 or some dollar amount. We're going to launch this token. We're going to give you some of the tokens. You're going to make money off the tokens. Whatever it is, somebody came to her and said, we'll do it and it'll be awesome. And she did it. And people lost money, which happens in every single one of these things. And people made it a bigger deal than it really was, because on social media, that gave them a lot of views, right? Mm-hmm. And she did something stupid and she got caught up in it, and we'll see what happens. But guess what? Since then, Trump has launched his coin, and there's the Melania coin.
And his sneakers, and everybody's talking, they're still talking about it.
Wait, what's going on with Trump's coin?
But when you look at the economics or the tokenomics of these coins, 80% of the coins were given to the team, to Trump, and the insiders who launched the token.
That seems illegal.
If you compare that to what the Hawk-Tua girl did, it's actually much worse for
because it looks like manipulation and so hey, before we get out of here,
since then, just to throw out there, the crypto czar did say meme coins are just collectibles.
Well, they are. It's like a jersey.
Then
that's exactly right. It's like a jersey. Hey, listen, before you go, I want to talk about hypermarket. Hypermarket is a big deal. Hypermarket's changing the face of consulting, just like AI is changing the face of almost doing anything, and apps like Proximity and so on and so forth. Talk about hypermarket real quick.
Well, we have a portfolio company called Hypermarket. I think we're talking about the same thing.
It is. No, it is. Listen, you guys are doing it. They're in the news and stuff. I mean, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so they're making it really easy to sell digital goods on the internet, to basically reach individuals who are wanting to, experts who want to be out there and want to get it into the hands of the people. They created a marketplace for that, and it's really exciting. And we back them, and I'm excited for what they're doing.
That management team is pretty good too. They've had an exit before, and you're betting on the jockey as well as the horse in this one, aren't you?
Absolutely. Sometimes, every single time at our stage, the deal is done because of the people, right? And when you get certain introductions from certain friends or people that you've worked with in the past, you take it extremely seriously. So we've been working with them for a little while now, and our team is involved in helping.
Can we get them on the air?
Front and everything. Absolutely.
Let's do it. Let's bring them down. Have you back in studio and stuff. I'd love to talk, because it's really interesting what these guys are doing. I love the fact you guys are on this as a core company that you guys are investing in. Good stuff. His name is Alon Goren.
Founding partner, Draper Goren Blockchain. Again, the website, dgb.vc. Keep it here. Much more to come. The Big Biz Show after this. Rocking and rolling, moving and grooving, shucking and jiving. Another beautiful day here.
Having a great time.
Another beautiful day inside the Loft 100 studios. Big Biz Show rolling on. I'm sitting here in my finest gold. I'm Costa.
Hey.
Mary Godwin.
Well, there's a reason for that.
You're right on target for this episode.
There is a reason
I like how you coordinate with our guests.
I love it.
It's what I do. It's also called dumb luck because I had no idea that our next guest was going to be on the show with us. And of course, Sully.
Well, what's interesting is Tim Smith is the CEO of U.S. Goldmining Inc. And I really like this company. I want to continue to cover these guys. Their ticker symbol USGO. And what do they do, Greg?
They make yoga mats.
Thank you, Greg. Larry Bud Melman of the Big Biz Show.
He's a yogi. He doesn't like to admit to it, but he is one of the world's top-ranked.
Tim Smith is one of the top gold experts in the world. But I don't know if you've seen what happened since the election. But this opens up the wild far west in terms of Alaska, in terms of mining. I'm going to bring Tim on to talk about that. This has not been a bad month for you guys in terms of news, right, Tim? I think that's probably a positive thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's been a fantastic month. Ever since 20th of January, auspicious day, obviously, with President Trump's inauguration, we've seen gold up by over $100. In fact, I'm watching it this morning. Gold today alone is up almost $35 an ounce. We are just a few bucks short of an all-time high. We're nudging towards $2,800. We're about $27.95 right now. So
we've never seen Tim smile until today. And look at this. Look at the hefty grin on his face. He's having a decent day. Excellent. Hey, can you, for the rest of us, what changed between restrictions versus non-restrictions and opening the gates that weren't opened before? What exactly happened?
Well, look, I think one of the opening of the gates, I think that's a great way to put it, Sully, is President Trump's executive order, one of many he signed on January 20th. This one in particular that's relevant to us is called Unleashing Alaska's Extraordinary Resource Potential. This is a really important milestone for Alaska's resource companies and, of course, ourselves, U.S. Goldmining Inc., given that our flagship project is in Alaska. And essentially what that executive order says is that the state of Alaska holds abundant and untapped supply of natural resources, including, among other things, minerals, and that unlocking this bounty of natural wealth will raise the prosperity of our citizens while helping to enhance our nation's economic and national security. So what does that really mean for us? I mean, what it means is that the future potential mine development at the Whistler Gold Copper Project is now very well placed to benefit from this regulatory certainty. So we're absolutely delighted about that announcement.
Tim Smith, CEO, U.S. Goldmining Inc., their ticker symbol USGO. So Tim, as soon as the restrictions are removed by President Trump, is it just a wild race, or as you just talked about, is it established areas that will just begin producing that much more?
I think it's established areas. I think we will see more investment coming into the state. More investment leads to new discoveries. It leads to ongoing development of discoveries through ultimately to becoming producing mines. And I think, Whistler already benefits from the fact that it is on state land and that the state wants to build a road to connect to our property. This is called the West Susitna Access Road. Governor Dunleavy has been fantastic for the resource sector in Alaska. We're just seeing a doubling down here with the federal support, the removal of those federal overreaches that we saw in Alaska previously. It really just smooths the way for regulatory certainty. That can only be a benefit to our project and many others in Alaska.
Hey, Tim, you've got a recent drilling result to talk about. And I'm going to talk about the outlook to that Whistler project that obviously has now floated to the top of a lot of people's interest. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, we had some exceptional results in 2024, and we still have some more to come, by the way. So we've got some news flow coming up in the coming weeks and months here. Some more drilling to release from 2024, but the numbers that we were able to release so far from the 2024 program included the best ever drill hole in the history of the property. That was 652 meters. That's about 1,800 feet. over 1,800 feet at 1 gram per ton gold equivalent. That's a world-class intercept. That really helps to prove our investment thesis that the Whistler Gold Copper Project is a significant, large, high-quality asset in a great state, a great location.
Hey, Tim, what's the outlook for gold as a whole?
Well, look, I'd be quite comfortable putting a 3 in front of that by the end of this year. And look, that's nothing. There are many other people out there. I mean, the Bank of America predicted this over 6 months ago. And, when you see it nudging $2,800 today, it's really not that much of a stretch, I don't think. The fundamentals are still there. The central banks are still buying. And we're still working through depleting those resources and reserves. So we're seeing those fundamentals of supply and demand are just going to continue to put upward pressure on the price of gold. And again, we're going to see that flow through to equities such as U.S. gold mining.
Okay, so what will that mean for you and your company in the upcoming months?
It means that access to capital should be better. It means that the economics of the project.
It's about time. No, seriously, it's been tough in the last 18 months. Biotech companies, oil and gas, mining companies, it's been rough to raise money.
There has been a disconnect. And, my space, the gold sector, we talk about this frequently, the fact that gold bullion is soaring, but the equity markets are not keeping up with that. So we're looking forward to, I think, seeing some of the quarterly results coming out from the majors, the producers. They're now producing gold at well over $1,000 profit an ounce for the most part. And in other words, the price that they get paid for their gold production has gone up. But we're seeing inflation coming down, so their costs are not keeping up. Therefore, that yield, that gap is growing. And so I think once we see the majors start to present some really good quarters to the market, we're going to see a lot more interest coming back in. That's going to flow through to the developers such as ourselves and the explorers with these exciting gold projects like the Whistler Gold Copper Project sitting in the wings, ready to deliver on a pipeline of future potential gold copper resources for the nation.
He is Tim Smith, the CEO of U.S. Goldmining Inc. He is the real gold figure.
Tim, thank you so much, man. Well, you got to come back with us on a weekly basis. I mean, it's just so good to be able to talk about the company, but also just the macro gold stuff because it's
always a pleasure.
It's time. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. If you want to kind of track gold as an investment, that's obviously what you can track individual stocks like that USGO. But you can also look at what's called an exchange-traded fund. An exchange-traded fund is basically a basket of stocks. Now, there's an exchange-traded fund in oil, which is USO, one of many. There's one in gold called GLD. It's a gold trust. It's a basket of gold stocks that tracks gold. So if you want to take and dip your toe into gold, rather than buying physical gold, which is very expensive to buy. In fact, if gold is, let's say he goes to $300 an ounce or whatever he was saying. $3,000 an ounce, he was saying. You couldn't buy physical gold $3,000 an ounce because it's just so rare. It would be more like $3,500 an ounce at that point.
Wow.
At that point. Look at GLD, a chart for GLD. So if you take a look at that, you're looking at a 50-day moving average, which is that red line that goes up. Wow. You're looking at a 50-day moving average, which is the blue line, and then you're looking at the jagged edge. And that's what's called a moving average convergence divergence. Every time that those jagged lines are above the blue and red lines, it's what's called a strong buy. And you could predict with relative certainty that stock's going to go in the right direction. Now, when you see the reversal, what's called the death cross, and this is all technical analysis, but if you want to dip your toe into this thing, what does that say it's trading per share, $200 a share? Rather than $2,000 an ounce, go spend $400 and buy a couple shares of this, and you could actually track gold as it's moving in the right direction. And I think that's one way to think about this. Oil is another thing. When I always say, you guys are getting your butts kicked to the gas pump, go buy USO or buy a couple shares of Chevron, and you'll make money on that side.
Question for the professor.
Yes, sir.
So you see those commercials all the time on TV.
Gold will never be worth less.
Well, and here, get your gold coins now. You can get it in that type of thing. What?
Don't do it.
Turn and run.
Okay.
Turn and run. Mainly because you're paying a premium. Okay. So right now, if it's trading at 257, that means gold is 2570-ish. Okay, per ounce. You would pay right now for a gold Krugerrand close to $3,000 right now. Even though it's only worth $25.70.
Gotcha.
because of the fact that physical gold is so hard to come by. People love to hold it in their hands. It feels good, so on and so
Shiny.
forth. Yeah. But if you actually want to play in the market, that's the way to do it. GLD is one. IAU is another one. If you can bring up that one, that's another gold. So this is a Spider Gold Shares exchange traded fund. The reason the reason we like it.
It's going right after this show.
Well, but I mean, the point is, if you want to, that means if one gold stock takes it and the other one goes up, as a whole, it's like buying a mutual fund. But this trades like a stock, so I think that's the way to do it. Guys, take us out. I got much more to talk about on this. Fascinating. Well, we should probably do some more. We should do buy, sell, or hold with you guys. We used to do it with the audience when this was a radio show.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to pick stocks,
okay,
and do a buy, sell, or hold segment, ask me what I would do based upon technical analysis. We can pull those charts and start doing that. And we can also start playing Mike Costa's favorite game, Pick My Shorts. And that's when I tell you what stocks to short every week.
Big shorts.
And Mike will be picking your shorts in the closet near you.
Another beautiful day inside the Loft 100 studios because we are in the midst of the Big Biz Show. Hope everyone's having a good one out there. Thanks for being along for this crazy ride. Costa, Marybird Godwin, our executive producer is Greg Todorov. Those awesome tunes you hear in the background, the one and only DTT, the Day Trader Trio, and of course, Sully.
Great to have you along today. Good to have you along today. Jonathan Javitt, the CEO, founder, director, chairman, chief scientific officer, the guy that's behind NRX Pharma and Hope Therapeutics, joins us here with some huge news. Jonathan, you had a couple good weeks of news, but there's this magic thing called a $27 million financing funding transaction for Hope Clinic acquisition. And I got to say, congratulations. I mean, during all the headwinds that biotech has faced over the last 18 months, everything you guys have accomplished, and to pull in not one but two financings right where nobody else can says a lot about you. So congratulations, my friend.
Well, actually, it was a $37 million financing, but who's counting?
Well, I'm just going to say the press release said 27 million, and by the way, with the two financing, it's now 37 million. So
there were two press releases.
Yeah, see, that's why we need. That's why you need us to figure it out. What does this do for you?
Well, the most important thing it does is it gives us the resources with which to start acquiring the interventional psychiatry clinics that make up Hope Therapeutics.
And in terms of acquisition, give us a velocity rate, and when do we? This speeds everything up significantly, doesn't it?
You've seen us announce a number of letters of intent. The first is Kadima, which is a leading clinic in La Jolla, California. Dr. David Feifel has really been one of the pioneers in this field. And people like to call these ketamine clinics, but they're really not. A ketamine clinic is a place in a strip mall that does ketamine on Mondays and vitamin drips on Tuesdays and may or may not have a real mental health professional.
Yeah, right.
We're talking about clinics that are able to integrate drugs that change the brain's pathways, like ketamine, someday like other psychedelics, but those haven't been approved yet, together with what we call neuromodulatory technologies, like transcranial magnetic stimulation, where you're putting very powerful electromagnets outside the skull that induce brain cells to start sprouting and make new connections to other brain cells. And finally, digital therapeutics, where we're able to give a patient an app that helps potentiate the effect of these other two modalities. So putting all of that under one roof is new. There are very few people in the country who can do it right.
Dr. Javitt, what you've essentially done is funded a roll-up strategy for these psychiatry clinics, an intervention for psychiatry clinics, correct?
Well, in part it's a roll-up, but there probably aren't more than 10 organizations of excellence that we could roll up. And after that, we're going to be acquiring organizations that we can improve and bring them up to the standard that we're setting, or we're going to be building them out from scratch.
Dr. Jonathan Javitt with us, founder, chief scientific officer, director of NRX Pharmaceuticals, of course, their ticker symbol, NRXP. To that point, Dr. Javitt, always great to see you again. What does this mean for NRX?
Well, one thing it means is that not only are we going to be developing drugs that we anticipate will be approved and can generate a very large return for our investors, but we're also building a cash flowing, steady state, what we hope will be rapidly growing business that's going to provide revenue and income from day one.
Dr. Javitt, you mentioned last time you were on the air with us about a week and a half ago about that $100 million revenue threshold. Let's talk about that, because that's a reality now in terms of planning, is it not?
Well, we certainly have the resources in the transactions we've announced to build to that initial $100 million threshold. Not just the money that we announced in this week's press releases, but the bank financing that comes behind it.
The 16 million Americans consider ending their lives every year. 45 million Americans suffer from depression and or PTSD. How does that change everything? Does this increase the velocity of being able to help folks, in your opinion, or is the plan still the same?
Well, we intend to change the reality for those patients. 10 years ago, psychiatry consisted of talking to people. And if you really got to the point where there was nothing else to do, you got hospitalized and sometimes got electroshock therapy. But the notion of interventional psychiatry, the notion that for a large number of people, you had therapies that could actually effect a rapid cure, a rapid return to your normal life, was not really a viable notion. And that world is rapidly changing.
Dr. Jonathan Javitt, chairman and the chief scientist, NRX Pharmaceuticals. Their ticker symbol is NRXP. Website nrxpharma.com, with us here on the Big Biz Show.
Dr. Javitt, so good to see you again. A few minutes ago on the screen, I saw they put up a graph or a graphic of some sort that said your path to profitability. There was 3 drugs on there, I think, and the first one underneath it I saw IV ketamine. So can you talk a little bit, yeah, that's the one I'm talking about, NRX 100. So can you talk a little bit about that one specifically and what's that looking like this year?
Sure, and ketamine is an old drug. The problem is it's labeled as an anesthetic and it's not really labeled for anything else. And until we get the FDA to apply a label saying that this can be used to treat depression and suicidality, it's not going to be reimbursed by insurance. So there's extraordinary evidence that ketamine improves people's ability to function, reduces severe depression symptoms rapidly, reduces symptoms of suicidality. But most people who get treated with ketamine have to pay cash for it unless they get the nasal spray from Johnson & Johnson, which is reimbursable by insurance. So our objective is to change that reality to get an FDA approval for traditional IV ketamine to be used to treat people with depression. And at the same time, the ketamine that's sold today has a toxic preservative in it, benzethonium chloride. It was put in there so that doctors could use the same vial of medicine for multiple patients, but it doesn't benefit the patient in any way. And therefore, the ketamine that we're bringing to market is preservative-free.
Dr. Jonathan Javitt, thank you so much. Can you tell us, he's coming back to San Diego ASAP? I know you're coming in the next couple of weeks. We're going to make sure you're here. I know you're going to be here in February as well.
Dr.
Well, I look forward to seeing you pretty soon in San Diego.
Come on out here, buddy.
Doctor, always great to see you again. Dr. Jonathan Javitt, the ticker symbol for NRX Pharmaceuticals, NRXP. The website, nrxpharma.com. Keep it here. Much more Big Biz Show after this.